defending the free market, and making the moral case for capitalism. The Justin Moore Show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Justin Moore Show, where we make sense of what's going on in this crazy, insane, out of control world. And let me tell you guys to start off here, before we jump into anything, talking about what's going on with the economy, the Fed, raising interest rates, all that sort of thing. Man, I have to tell you guys, as I'm recording this morning it was negative 22 below here in Montana. Okay, it was cold. You know, we got a lot of snow on the ground. In the local area is around over 20 inches of snow. And yeah, when it's 22 below, I mean that's not fun. I got to tell you guys. So I kind of wish I was back on the Contra cruise right now. Enjoying the hot 80-degree weather over in Mexico. But no, it's definitely winter here in Montana. I have to say, last year was such a mild winter. But this year we're really getting it. It's just been horrible for this last week and a half, 2 weeks. It's like almost below zero every night. So yeah, it's been pretty crazy. So hopefully we get out of this and we get some global warming here, huh? Where's Al Gore when you need him? All right, anyway, guys, to jump into what happened on, December 14th. We had Janet Yellen. This was, very expected. She decided, the FOMC committee, they decided to raise interest rates for the second time in just over 10 years. The last time the Federal Reserve raised interest rates, the federal funds rate, was back in 2006. And so here we are on the second rate hike. And, I've said, going back to the last 6 months of the show, saying, yeah, the Fed will raise interest rates in most likely by December. I was definitely getting that vibe. And basically what they plan on doing now with their new projections for next year, in 2017, the Fed thinks that we're anticipating 3 rate hikes in 2017, okay? And as you guys know, at the start of last year, I had to explain when the Fed was like, oh yeah, we're going to raise interest rates 4 times in 2016, when we just got our first rate hike in 2016 last week. Yeah, so these experts that talk about, they think they know what's going on and what's going to happen. No, they don't. Those guys are a bunch of clowns over there, okay? And but it is weird. And actually, I should say, the Fed expects that the federal funds rate will be 2.1% by the end of 2018, based on their projections, which, as I've just stated, their projections are always wrong. You can't rely on the Fed's projections. But I will say, with this Fed rate hike now, so that this went from the federal funds rate being at 0.25 to 0.5% to now the federal funds rate is at the range of 0.5 to 0.75%. Okay? And the Fed officials, they pointed to that, hey, look, we raised interest rates because we see a strengthening labor market. We're near full employment. We saw the unemployment rate drop to 4.6%, which is the lowest it's been since pre-crisis levels, which was back in 2007. And then particularly since Trump won the election, inflation expectations have been rapidly increasing. And so the Fed officials are like, well, okay, whoa, we really think that near-term inflation will meet our target levels. So we are very happy with raising interest rates. And they also tie that to, from the Keynesian mindset, that, as the unemployment rate dropped to 4.6%, there's not as much slack in the labor market. And so when there's not much slack in the labor market, well then inflation is most likely to rise with easy money. That's the Keynesian view, which the Austrians, we don't view it that way at all. So now getting back to what the Fed plans on doing here, and I have to say, with this rate hike and since Trump won the election, I don't know, this could be just me. I'm just kind of getting a different vibe from Janet Yellen. I don't know. It seems to me like, I think in 2017, Janet Yellen will be more aggressive with raising rates. Last year I said, okay, maybe the Fed will raise rates 1 time, maybe 2 times, but I think in 2017, the probability of the Fed raising rates 2 times, I think that's very probable. I don't think the Fed will raise rates 3 times, but I think 2 times is pretty dang likely. And now I say this, I don't know. I guess I was thinking, Janet Yellen, she is a Democrat, and I think the Fed was trying to be very accommodative to help the party in power, which was the Democrat Party with Obama, and they wanted Hillary Clinton to win the presidency, and so they wanted to be really easy. They didn't want to upset the apple cart, that sort of thing. But with Trump winning the election, and with the Republican Party with majorities in the Senate and the House, this is from a political point of view, this is a Republican/Trump economy now. And so if things happen under Janet Yellen's watch, well, no, just blame the Republicans. Blame Trump. Trump, he was criticizing the Fed during the campaign, and then Trump also praised the Fed. So I guess, that's the thing with Trump. You don't know where he lies. He goes based on his gut instincts, and I've said this also on my show before. Trump's instincts are not with the free market. He's not. He's with the cronyism, the establishment that everybody complains about. Oh yeah, the establishment caused this problem and that problem and yada yada yada. Trump is that. He's just not a quote unquote politician like we typically see him. He's a very different sort of politician. And now that he's going to be president of the United States, you can't just say, oh yeah, Trump, he's not a politician anymore. He's now the leader of the Republican Party. He is one of the most political guys out there now. And especially how he acts when he talks on both sides of the issues, to me, that's a typical politician. I don't know what you guys are talking about that are these Trump lovers. And obviously, long-time listeners on my show, you guys know I'm most certainly not a Trump lover. And with Trump being president of the United States, and if he tries to shut down free speech and all this sort of thing, me talking and dissing the guy and his policies, probably not a good idea for me, but I think the truth is more important at the end of the day. And, Trump, he really isn't an ideological guy, but he's a guy that believes in big government. And he's the guy that can fix everything. Well, now that he doesn't have to use his pocketbook, he doesn't have to use a pocketbook for his businesses anymore. He now has the taxpayer. He has our pocketbooks to rob so that he can, quote unquote, fix what's going on in our economy. Oh yeah, he wants this giant infrastructure spending. Oh yeah, that's going to make everything fine. All these crumbling roads and bridges. Ah, man, I'm so sick of this crumbling roads and bridges crap. But the one good thing since Trump's been elected, there has been a different feeling in the air as well. People are a lot more optimistic about what to expect with a Trump presidency. Because Trump has talked about lowering taxes, lowering the corporate income tax for businesses, shrinking the number of brackets from 7 to, I believe, 5 is what he wants, maybe 4. I can't remember what it is. And then Trump wants to reduce regulations in the economy, which is definitely a plus. And with Trump talking about all these sort of things, this is definitely a change from what we have gotten from the Obama administration. Ever since Obama was elected in 2008, all he's talked about, bashing business, income inequality, the rich don't pay their fair share. Warren Buffett pays less in taxes than his secretary, which all this stuff is such a bunch of crap. That's why it is so nice, even though I'm not a Trump guy at all, just kind of hearing a little different rhetoric that's actually, oh yeah, we want to actually reduce regulations, even though I don't think Trump will really do that in a meaningful way. I think he might reverse some, but certainly not as much as I would like, but I guess it's a start. Then reducing taxes instead of, oh yeah, we just need to, soak the rich, like what Obama's been talking about. But look, I definitely like that feeling. It's the stock market loves what Trump's talking about, and the average person out there, they do. It's starting to feel like our economy's recovering, but it's really not. It's the wealth effect from a rising stock market. The stock market almost hit 20,000 points in the Dow, which it's never reached before. It was really close, within about 50 points or less. So it's really close to that strategic round number. But here's the thing. As I've said, I can't remember if it was last podcast or the one before, that I think this is all going to be short-lived, especially maybe this little honeymoon in the stock market will go till, Trump's inaugurated as president, and then a lot of this sort of fantasy talk of how great everything's going to be under Trump. Everything will come back to reality. Oh, wait, it is just going to be more of the same. Oh, okay, guys, never mind. Back to what we were doing. Yeah, but yeah, since Trump's been elected, you look at the 10-year Treasury. It's recently hit the highest it's been since 2014. The 10-year Treasury yields at 2.6%. Prior to the election, the 10-year Treasury was at 1.6%. That's a move of 100 basis points, or 1%. That's huge. Or, as Trump would say, that's huge. Then we look at the 2-year Treasury. That's at its highest it's been since prior to the financial crisis in 2008. The 2-year Treasury is at a yield of 1.26%. Okay, so there's a lot of bullish sentiment out there. People are getting out of bonds and they're going to stocks. Especially with the Fed raising interest rates and the stock market's on the move. If you want to go to where the yield's at, well, you might as well go to the stock market as that thing's going up instead of being in lousy bonds that have major threats coming from a rising interest rate. So it all makes sense that Treasury yields are starting to spike, because Trump is seen as good for business. Trump, he's a businessman, of course. So getting back to where I was at, I'm kind of all over the place here. But, with Obama, he was just so anti-business. And now you just see how things and people are feeling so positive. The stock market's taking off. A lot of people are starting to think, and you would just listen to, I know people I know that are like that, they're conservative Republican types. Oh man, they definitely think now, oh yeah, the economy's good now. Oh yeah, stuff is good for business. They're excited. But it's great to have that feeling. But I don't think that's short-lived. And there are some people out there, and this all makes me wonder. This is how close we could have been to a recovery years ago. But no, here we had Obama for 8 years, a guy with this anti-business rhetoric all the time, as I was just talking about earlier. And actually I found an interesting piece here. Now this guy, I can tell from reading this, he seems like he's more sympathetic to Obama's point of view on things, but he's just kind of laying out what he discovered too. Basically what happened here is, every year Obama's economic advisors, they release this report called the Economic Report of the President. This year, it's the final one, obviously, because it's Obama's 8th year as president, his final year as before he exits. And now this report is 599 pages long, and it's talking about the state of the U.S. economy, how the feeling is out there, where we've come from, all this sort of stuff. And now this guy that wrote in the New York Times, this Neil Irwin, he discovers on page 57 of this report that it discusses 4 continued structural changes that basically the Obama's economic advisors are pointing out that need to be addressed during the Trump presidency, because basically Obama never got to fully address these issues that Obama wanted to. And I think this is interesting, and this just shows the change in mindset and shows why for the last 8 years why our growth has been so dang pathetic. We never saw a single year of GDP greater than 3%. That hasn't happened in modern American history. But here under Obama, the entire 8 years, we're having like 2% GDP growth. And GDP counts government spending too. And we've had record deficits. This is just horrible how bad it's been. And these Democrats, anytime you want to argue with some liberals on Facebook, these guys always have to bring up, oh, well, yeah, Bill Clinton, those Clinton years, man, they were good. So that's why I vote Democrat, because we Democrats, we know how to run an economy. We know how to get things going. We know what's good for business. Oh, really? Raising taxes and regulations on business, making it more expensive to operate in the United States, that's good for business? Really? It's laughable. But no, that's why most people, besides us, we libertarians, conservative types, people who actually question the type of things and headlines that we read, we can actually really get at these guys and show them in a very nice, polite sort of way that, hey, look, that's not exactly, okay, let's just question what you have to say there. Okay, so you say Clinton is really good for the economy, right? Okay. Clinton was fighting against Republicans in the House to try to get his way. So, of course, with that sort of gridlock in government, Bill Clinton couldn't get everything passed that he wanted to. And, Clinton did cut the capital gains rate. So he did have some tax cuts. And actually the size of government did not grow as fast as it did under George W. Bush or Obama. So you got to give Clinton credit for that too. So government in terms of spending in the economy was significantly less from where it's at right now. So actually, from all the modern American presidents in the last 40 years, Bill Clinton was really, to be really objective about it, Clinton grew government slower. So he was kind of a small government guy to a certain extent, even though his rhetoric all the time wasn't necessarily that. But let's just before I get all over that place here, this holiday season, let me jump over to what this guy discovered here in this report on page 57. So here are the 4 pillars, the 4 main areas that the Obama economic advisors see as basically their unfinished business of the Obama presidency that need to be addressed if we want a growing and thriving economy. So the first one here is weak productivity growth. And I'm reading this from the New York Times. Weak productivity growth is the first. For reasons that economists aren't entirely sure about, the rate at which American workers are becoming more productive has slowed. From 1995 to 2005, output per hour worked rose 3% a year, which has slowed to 1.3% a year since then. Simply as a mechanical matter, this is a big part of the reason that overall economic growth has been slow. Over time, it implies that economic well-being will increase more slowly. That said, there are a range of theories around why this has happened and what, if any, policy tools might fix it. One possibility is that the march of technological progress has slowed and that government has few tools that might help. Another possibility is that the recession and slow recovery have created a self-reinforcing dearth of investment and that government policy to increase overall demand in the economy could also trigger more productivity-enhancing investments. Okay, so from what I just read there, these guys are pointing out, hey, look, one possibility that we're seeing slower growth is because technological progress has slowed. And we just don't really have the right government tools to fix it at this point. And so this guy's arguing like a Keynesian here. Here he's pointing out that, the right government policy with the right tools, they can help increase overall demand in the economy, and that will help trigger more productivity and investments in the economy. Well, of course, that's way the hell wrong, because you should never have to worry about demand. Demand is never the problem, it's supply. You must produce something in order to consume. We as people, we always want to demand something. We always want the latest and greatest iPad and iPhone and new device out there, right? Or is it just me? Am I the only guy that wants it? No. We always want something better. It's hard to save your money and not go and spend it on stuff. When I walk into Costco or Sam's Club, man, I tell you what, I want to go buy everything off those shelves. Everything looks great. And especially, I kind of have the mindset when I go in there, Costco, Sam's Club, it's really high quality stuff at a fairly fair price. Actually, at Costco, they have a policy where they only mark up prices 14%. And then I think for, the Costco, the Kirkland brand, it might be 20%. I can't remember what the exact percentage is there. But they don't really have that much of a markup for anything at Costco. Anything at Costco you buy has that certain markup. And so, you're getting really good prices on these things. So, the membership deal, the membership fee that you pay, you easily save that money buying goods at Costco. And I've learned that, and that's why you do that. You go buy your thing of toilet paper, 30 rolls that can last you a whole year for one person, It's pretty cool. Now, so demand is never an issue, is what I'm getting at here. And that's what's so amazing with these Keynesian economists. When are they going to learn that, it's, especially with the way people spend nowadays, when we're in credit card debt, we have auto loans, people have bought cars that should have never bought cars. We definitely have some demand out there. Man, people are buying things they shouldn't be buying. Isn't that kind of a problem? A debt problem? And our government has $20 trillion in debt? Well, we've definitely demanded $20 trillion in goods that we That's just, I don't know. I just find that as such a silly argument, and it's amazing how many people fall for that. Again, it gets back to people not really thinking through what they're saying. I mean, if you just say something and don't think about it, well then, I guess that's fine because you're not actually thinking through logically, wait, does that really make sense? But anyway, guys, let's move on here to the next of the four topics that the Obama economic advisors say is something that needs to be worked out so that we can get this economy on sound footing and we can be structurally sound, all that sort of good stuff. And it is, yes, you guessed it, income inequality is the second weak spot the White House economists identify, arguing that the Obama administration has made progress in spreading the gains from a growing economy more widely, but not enough. Whoa, hold on a second. Are you guys kidding me right now? How many times on this podcast have I said that under the Obama economy, the rich are growing the most of anybody? During these inflationary policies, this easy money by the Federal Reserve, this is the best environment for people who are already rich. They benefit the most from inflation because they can actually protect themselves from inflation, or they can invest in vehicles that benefit the most from inflation. The people who are poor out there, they can't invest in this stuff. The poor people are just scrapping enough money together so they can go buy their food, right? And then they see their fuel costs go up, and just 2 years ago, oil was over $100 a barrel. Well, now it's around $50 a barrel. But so consumer was helped there. But looking at all the other prices in the economy, I mean, prices certainly haven't come down for any of these goods. Goods have gone up. The chip bags the number of ounces has gone down. Deodorant sticks have gotten smaller. Everything, the portions are shrinking and the prices are staying the same, and they're actually increasing a little bit. So things have been worse for the consumer, for the poor out there. And especially with the job market, it's hard to get, good paying jobs. I mean, people have to get a few jobs now just to try to make ends meet, right? And then, so let's just continue on with what they have to say here. The report argues that policies like a higher minimum wage, laws more favorable to labor unions, and fewer regulatory barriers to people working in their preferred fields would help push more of the benefits of growth to American workers, building on a thread of research that has gained favor in both the Obama Council of Economic Advisors and liberal think tanks in recent years. If Hillary Clinton had won the election, this approach to thinking about inequality would most likely have formed a central role in her economic agenda. Well, thank God Hillary Clinton didn't win the presidency, because I am so sick and tired. As I started out this show, I started going off on this. That just drives me up a wall. Hearing about income inequality. There will always be income inequality. Someone will always make more than you do. There's always going to be someone who is better off than you, and there's always someone who's always worse off than you. I see so many people that they're always trying to compare themselves to somebody else. I mean, yeah, anybody. We can all be depressed. Oh man, look at what this guy's doing. That's no fair. Justin Bieber gets to drive around Lamborghinis and that sort of thing. I want a Lamborghini. But just don't compare yourself to anybody else. We're all our own people. We're individuals. We're all at different points in our life. You trying to compare yourself with somebody else, it's comparing apples and oranges. It's not the same. You don't know what they're going through. That's why people joke and they like to call Facebook fake book. Because people on Facebook, they only want to, post the pictures and the happy moments in their life, right? They're not going to put pictures of when they're not happy. Oh, crap, here's a picture of me. Oh, yeah, I took that test. That's when I got an F on it and I failed out of school. Yep, that sucked. You only get the happy moments. And, oh, yeah, their life looks so perfect. Oh, he's got the perfect family. Just don't worry about that stuff. Who cares what somebody else is doing? Be happy for them, right? That's what I do. And so, where was I going with this? And actually, did I ever talk about this on my show? There are some times when I see things on Facebook. And you know what? I don't know why. I'm just so fired up right now. I am, man. Actually, I noticed last week I kind of had my volume too loud on my mic. And it actually made it hard to talk because my own voice was blaring in my ears. But actually, I kind of got it tweaked better now. So, I don't know. Maybe that's helping. I have no idea. But I'm ready just to rip the head off of something. So, anyway. So when I'm scrolling through, or should I say perusing through Facebook, this was a few months ago, There was this guy, he used to go to the same high school as me. He was a few grades up from where I'm at when I graduated. And he made some comment. And sometimes I wonder what people are thinking when they post their status updates. Well, this guy's like, what the heck did he say? He's like, why doesn't my family just grow up? And like exclamation point, exclamation point. It was something like that. Actually, it was a little funnier than that, what he said. And it's just sometimes when I saw that post, you guys know how close I was just to click. You know how you can click the share button? Oh yeah, I'm going to go share his post. Oh, look, this guy's having problems with his family. Let's share it with everybody. Well, apparently, if it's a status update, you want to share it with the world, so let me just help you share it. Or, some girls like, I remember seeing some girls like, I hate when I'm being used by guys and this and that. You just, okay, go click, share, okay, you want the world to know. Okay, let me help you. All right. I really don't get why people like to post all that stuff. I actually don't really post much of anything on Facebook. I'm hardly on there. My shows automatically get uploaded up on Facebook. So I'm never actually doing that. So I don't know. Everybody wants people to care what they're up to, I think. And I've never had that sort of vibe. A lot of people, they want to be famous and this and that. I don't know. I just never really had that sort of feeling. Sure, just being able to drive Lamborghinis around and stuff, that's pretty cool. But I don't know. I really don't know what people are thinking. And the income inequality thing is just a bunch of crap. Just be happy for people. And obviously, as I've stated, if I can bring this back to economics here, let's bring it back to planet Earth. The pie is not a fixed pie. As the rich get richer, does that mean the poor get poorer? No. It's a growing pie when you have a growing economy. Now, there are certain policies, and when the government is spending your money, now that is a fixed pie. The government is taking money from one group and redistributing it to another group. So that is, okay, now that is something to complain about, and I do. And that's why I don't want the government spending my money, because they're going to take my money, they're going to take your money, and they're going to go piss it away on something, or some connected guy to government in some way, some crony guy out there, okay? We don't like that. But in a growing economy, if I can keep more of my money and I can invest it in ways that will make my life better, or I think will make my life better, or I can invest in my own business, invest in my podcast, whatever it is, I want to do. Ideally, we're all trying to do stuff that makes us happy, right? Some of us may, engage in behaviors that, maybe are not healthy for us, but in a free society, or, supposedly free society, we should be allowed to do what we want to do. It's kind of how the way things go. People. Let me just make this really clear, and I'll get back to economics really quick. But for the average person out there, we all are challenged in such a way where if we get off course, the direction is self-destruction. Isn't that the way it always goes? Look at Robin Williams, a guy you think who had it made, famous comedian, famous actor. I remember watching Robin Williams on, Mrs. Doubtfire when I was a young kid. Oh, I love that movie. Oh, Mrs. Doubtfire, Robin Williams, just the funniest guy. And here, Robin Williams, was that 2 years ago now? He hangs himself with a tie, I think it was. He wasn't happy. He was, hiding. He used his acting, I guess, to try to, hide himself. I guess when you can put yourself into different characters, you can hide yourself because that's not you. You're acting, from the character's perspective, So, so we all can easily be headed for self-destruction. So we always have to be keeping in check, always trying to improve ourselves, this sort of thing. And the same thing goes with a business. If you're not careful, you're not watching and minding your P's and Q's, your business can head for destruction. Competition will eat you alive. You have to keep improving. Your product has to keep getting better. Or you as an individual, you have to keep improving your skills. You can't just bitch and complain, oh no, my job is obsolete. It was taken over by robots. Now what am I going to do? Well, I don't know. Maybe if you would have improved your skills, you wouldn't have to worry about, Mr. Roboto taking your job, right? People like to, it's so easy just to blame somebody else. Now, I hope when I'm saying all this stuff, I'm not lecturing to you guys out there. This is just kind of the general vibe I get from, I guess the sort of liberal sort of mindset and, the little complainers out there on Facebook. So please, guys, don't take any of this personally. I'm just kind of, I don't know. As I said, I'm just on fire today. I'm just letting her rip. I'm not holding back. Screw that. Now, let's just move on here to the third of the issues that the Obama economic advisors want to address, or want to have addressed by the Trump administration because they didn't seem to get it figured out. And it is the labor force participation. And it is one of the biggest asterisks on President Obama's economic record, as the new report acknowledges. The drop in the unemployment rate from a recent high of 10% to 4.6% was helped along by millions of people stepping away from the labor force entirely. The council notes that part of that is a result of people hitting retirement age, but also that there has been an enormous decline in the percentage of prime age men working, which goes back decades. In 1953, 3% of 25 to 54-year-old men were neither working nor looking for work. That's now 12%. The Obama administration argues that the way to bring people back into the labor market is to strengthen the connective tissue in how the job market works. For example, by modernizing the unemployment insurance system, raising the minimum wage, and expanding tax credits for low-income work, and increasing access to paid leave and child care. Oh my gosh. Holy crap. Okay, let's look at this. What did I just read here? 1953, 3% of 25 to 54-year-olds, they weren't working and they weren't looking for work. And now that is 12%. So that is 4 times higher today than it was in 1953. Okay, well, that's not good. That's bad. And the Obama administration, now look, they're trying to figure out ways to strengthen the connective tissue and how the job market works. And so they're looking at, modernizing unemployment insurance, all this stuff, raising the minimum wage, expanding tax credits for low-income work, all these sort of incentives that actually makes it so people want to work less. All these government guarantees. How about let people sink or swim on their own? We need competition. We don't need to cradle people and, have this cradle-to-grave society and take care of people like the government is some, father-like figure. I mean, that's what the government wants. The government wants voters reliant on the government because that class of voters, the government-dependent class, I guess I'll term it that. I just made that up. Those people, they will, when they go to the voting booth, they want to go to support and keep the giant state, this gigantic, out-of-control government. They want to keep it in place. Or they want to expand it. They want more benefits. They want more goodies. Oh, yeah, and at the same time, yeah, Trump, you build that dang wall. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Things are just so out of control. And did you guys remember, when Obama first came into office, the national debt was $10.5 trillion. And here it is, 8 years of Obama. We are almost at $20 trillion. This has happened under one guy's presidency. We've doubled the national debt. And no, here everybody thinks, oh, things are fine. The economy's recovering. Everything is just going to be great. Gold and silver since Trump's been elected, they've been beaten down. It's gone literally straight down. But of course, nothing goes straight up or straight down unless you're at the end of a bubble. And we are not in a bubble in the gold and silver market. Now, was it probably a little bit overbought, all these miners and gold back in July? Yeah, it probably was, because it basically went straight up since late January of 2016 of this year. So we did need a correction in the markets for the gold and silver. But this correction is definitely, it's been way oversold. So here's what we have to ask. Okay, gold and silver have been beaten down since Trump's been elected. Because this economy is now magically just going to be, it's just going to get better. Oh man, yeah, Trump's like going to be a god now. This sort of stuff. I mean, people are way too optimistic. No, Trump is basically a Democrat. Or he really is a Democrat. Trump is more of a Democrat than a Republican. But then again, I guess I've also said on my show that there's really no difference between Democrats and Republicans. So it doesn't really matter if Trump's considered a Democrat, Republican. No, they all want to grow the size of government. That's the problem. We want to get out of this massive debt problem. We need to stop spending money. But no, Trump wants to increase infrastructure spending. Now the Fed's looking at that like, hey, this is good. He wants to increase stimulus. Yes, the Keynesians out there, they love the stimulus plans. Oh, yes, and he wants to cut taxes. Oh, so that means Trump, he wants to increase the debt even more. And now for the Krugmans out there, the Krugmans, whatever you want to call them, like, oh man, they debt's no issue. Well, I guess heck, the Republicans said it was, Dick Cheney. I can't remember the exact quote, but oh yeah, debt's not a problem at all. So the Austrian perspective, the libertarian view on how things are in the economy, it's definitely not being voiced by a Trump or if Hillary was elected. It doesn't matter, and that's why a lot of us out here. We're so optimistic with the gold and silver because we are very confident. I'm very confident that the politicians out there, they're going to destroy the U.S. economy. I mean, this correction that's coming, this bust is going to be huge. But anyway, here, let's just move on to the next point here. The fourth final point that was made on the page 57 of this report by the economic advisors for the Obama administration is economic sustainability is the final and more subtle item on the unfinished business list. The White House is essentially arguing that there is a great deal of work to be done to make the United States economy more resilient when the next downturn hits. One step would be to change laws so that automatic stabilizers like unemployment insurance can expand automatically during downturns, essentially baking into the system some automatic fiscal stimulus. Oh, God. The economists argue that more work to reduce the growth of healthcare costs could impose the prospects for the economy over the longer term, and that reducing carbon emissions is essential for long-term economic sustainability. Oh, this is great. Let's just finish this up here. One thing the report doesn't quite say, but which fits in the theme of sustainability, is that the nature of this expansion, heavily reliant on a loose monetary policy from the Federal Reserve, has left the United States particularly vulnerable should a new downturn arise. Indeed, many of the more pessimistic scenarios for the economy involve a recession that happens because the central bank doesn't have the usual tools available to combat a minor shock. There's no doubt that the United States economy is on better footing than it was when Mr. Obama took office, but that's also a little misleading. Like comparing the health of a patient a month after a catastrophic car wreck with 8 years later. Mr. Trump, in other words, will inherit a patient whose short-term trauma has been fixed, but who has quite a few long lingering problems still to be addressed. Okay, well that's an understatement. What are you talking about? Short-term trauma's been fixed? No. Our economy is on life support, but we've just been, given a bunch of epinephrine, so we're bouncing around. We're like, oh yeah, look it, he's alive. No, you can't sustain that. We are on life support. We are on the verge of flatlining here, okay? That's what our economy is about to do. And, this guy, what the hell is he saying here? He did make a good point here saying, okay, Mr. Obama, he took office, and it's a little misleading to say, hey, look, it's like comparing a patient a month after a catastrophic car wreck. Hey, look, it got better. Okay, yeah, the guy was almost dead, and now he's not quite as dead, I guess. But actually, no. But that's actually not a very good comparison either, because we are going to die. We just haven't yet. These stimulants are keeping us going for the time being, but it's making our problem worse. From our car wreck, the guy showed up, oh yeah, he just had a broken leg and broken arm. He's fine, but now he's got major head trauma, and this guy is bleeding to death internally. That's what's going on now. No, thanks to a Federal Reserve, which is an incompetent doctor trying to fix the problem, making it worse. Or it's like a lot of these politicians out here, they really are like the arsonist who's also the fireman. They go and they start fires all over the dang place. And then they're like, hey, look at me. I'm putting out this fire. Look, I'm a firefighter. Oh, yeah, look, you are quite the hero. Yes, but, oh, by the way, Mr. Politician, you're actually the one who started that fire. Yeah, the unintended consequences thing? Yeah, you actually caused that problem. Yeah, good job. But no, most people don't see that. All they see is the scene of the politician putting out the fire, fixing, quote unquote, fixing the problem, which they're not. They're making problems worse. All we've done with the economy since Obama came to office when the national debt was $10.5 trillion, by basically doubling the national debt, what has that done? We've basically taken $10 trillion of money to kick the can down the road. So now it's pushed on to the Trump administration. Now is Trump going to make America great again? No. No, he's not. Because the only way to make America great again is to shrink the size of government. We need a smaller government. if we just went back to a government that actually abided by the U.S. Constitution, that's some 220 some years old, if we actually abided by that, actually government would have to shrink by 80%. That would be nice. We as libertarians, wouldn't we love to see the government shrink by 80%? Man, I would be dang happy. I wouldn't be complaining as much over here. I mean, I'd still complain about stuff, but not as much. But, what's to expect in 2017 in a Trump presidency? Well, will the Fed raise rates 3 times? No, I don't think so. But I really do think Janet Yellen's a little more giddy now, especially now that she can blame Trump and push problems off to the Republicans. Heck. And she probably doesn't think she'll get reappointed by Trump. I'm sure Trump has his own little pick in mind, or his advisors will be like, yeah, Janet Yellen, she's a piece of crap. We don't want her. Let's get someone who's a little more of the red stripes, Republican color, So that's what we have to look forward to. And think about this also with these low interest rates. As interest rates are increasing, that's going to make it so it's harder for people to, pay off their credit card bills and to pay off their the car loans, that sort of thing. Because think about this, the credit cards, the interest payment you have to make for people who leave balances on credit cards, that is tied to the federal funds rate. So you increase the federal funds rate like we've been doing, like just happened last week. You increase that increases interest rates for credit cards. Now for these people out there, who make the minimum payments, well, now your minimum payment's going to be a little bit bigger. Now more of what you're paying in terms of interest is a larger percentage compared to your principal. And your interest rates are slowly going to eat up the principal amount you actually owe. And so these people are really going to be between a rock and a hard place. And they're going to go delinquent on credit card payments. And actually people are predicting that delinquency payments will rise on credit card borrowers to 1.8% for people who are at least 90 days late on payments. And right now that rate is at 1.53%. And also, this is all from TransUnion on Wall Street Journal. They're also thinking in 2017 for auto loan borrowers, the number of people who will be 60 days late on payments will rise to 1.4%. So they will go delinquent on car payments compared to the 1.33% today. So that's going to be on the rise. Now, is that going to be good for an economy? More and more people going delinquent on payments, especially when we've had an economy that's really easy money. The banks have been lending money to people who shouldn't have. That's not good. Isn't that exactly kind of what happened with the housing crisis in 2008? People buying houses that shouldn't have been buying houses, or they're buying houses too big. They fell for the teaser rates and all that sort of thing. And, oh, yeah, I can afford this. Oh, wait, what? My rates are going up. Oh, no, I can't afford that. Yeah. Our economy is in for some big trouble. So, I think Janet Yellen will take advantage of raising rates while she can until she pricks the bubble. And all this stuff will come crashing down. And that, my friends, is where we and listeners of this show, we will be able to educate our neighbors, our friends, our family. We'll be able to tell them what the hell's going on. Because for over 2 years now, since 2014, I've been talking about all this stuff. I've been talking about the auto loan since 2014, pointing out, hey, look, this is kind of a bubble. People with very poor credit in record numbers are able to buy cars. And I remember seeing a Chevy dealer here locally where I live, where they had a big old sign bragging about, we finance everybody. That's what it said. So this is where we're at, my friends. We do not have a problem with demand like the Keynesians believe. We have a big problem. We have a debt problem. We have a malinvestments that we have never seen. China's got the exact same thing. There's problems all over the world. We are in for a lot of craziness. And that's why I start off this show, talking about how crazy and insane and out of control our world is, because it's going to get a lot worse, my friends. It's going to get a lot more crazy. Now, that's all I have for you guys today. Yes, this has been a very hard-hitting show, and frankly, I kind of liked it. And now, for you guys, if you can help me out here so I can continue to hit hard the people who should be hit hard, well, you should go to my website. Go to justinmoreshow.com. Moore is spelled M-O-H-R, like Jay Moore, the actor. Yes, I'm not related, by the way. I have been asked that. No, I'm not. But you can join Tom Woods' Liberty Classroom. There's a little picture of Tom Woods there. You click on that link. That takes you to Tom Woods' site there. And if you purchase his Liberty Classroom membership, which is $99, I believe. Maybe it's $89. Crap, I can't remember. I think it's $89. You can get access to his 17 courses. Bob Murphy teaches a course. Tom Woods teaches a course on history. All these guys are, just really brilliant guys that are from the Austrian perspective. Doug Casey teaches a class on logic. Oh my gosh. I mean, guests on the show teach classes over there. So please, guys, go over there. And if you sign up through my link, I will send you, for a very limited time, you will get access to my bonus episodes. Yes, I will send them to you. And actually, for those of you who have signed up through the Tom Woods Liberty Classroom, you should send an email to me. Go jmoore616@gmail.com and tell me, hey, Justin, I want the bonus episodes, and I will verify with your name, because I do have the names of people who've signed up, and I can send you the bonus episodes, okay? So if you can do that, I will send you the bonus episodes. You'll be happy, and you'll be in for the drawing for the silver coin. I haven't announced when that will be yet, but I recommend you sign up for Tom Woods Liberty Classroom soon. So please do that. It would be you can actually do it. You can gift it to somebody this holiday season. You know some liberal out there or some conservative that's way off base, but they think they have everything figured out. Give them a little different perspective on history they didn't get in high school or college, or the economics they didn't get in college. I can tell you I got the Keynesian view of economics in college. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this show. I hope my hard-hitting didn't offend too many people, but I guess, if it did, maybe this show isn't for you. I mean, you got to be pretty tough to deal with this show. You know what I'm saying? So, guys, I thank you so much for being here. I will talk with all you guys next week, and I'm looking forward to it. This is Justin Moore, signing off.